Hello everyone, welcome back. This is a new lecture in your course, Mastering Ansible by Avionics. My name is Ahmed, and in this section we are discussing how Vagrant can be integrated with Ansible as a provisioning tool in order to create a machine that is automatically configured using Ansible. In the previous lecture we have discussed the playbook, that is the file that contains the instructions for Ansible to work, and we mentioned that this file is written in YAML, and we briefly discussed YAML as a language or as a data serialization method. We have seen how we can write a basic YAML file. Now it's time to start writing our YAML file, myplaybook.yml. So here we are on our text mate. Let's delete all this and let's start writing the real stuff. Let's start writing the instructions that is going to be used with Ansible. So the first line, we are going to write hosts. This is the key, and it's going to be all. And as you can see here, we are starting with a dash. This means that this is part of an array or part of a list, but this list does not have a name, and that's okay. That's the way this playbook starts. And hosts is all is instructing Ansible that it is going to run this playbook on all the hosts that are configured in the Ansible hosts file. And you might think, where is the Ansible hosts file? This hosts file in this case is used internally by Vagrant, and it is not visible to us. Vagrant will use it to address the machine that it's configured to use Ansible to configure. In our case, it's web server. So I'm here instructing Ansible that it's going to use this playbook on all the hosts that Vagrant will use. That is because we are not going to edit or to view the file used by Vagrant. This is used internally by Vagrant, so we are just instructing Ansible to use any host that happens to be defined in this file. And of course, in our case, it's just one server, which is the web server. Now, the second line is become. I'm going to give it the value of yes. And notice here that I am using indentation to match this key value with this one. Indentation is very important in YAML. All items that are on the same level of indentation are grouped together. This might seem vague at first, and don't be intimidated. I'm going to give you, at the end of this file, I'm going to give you the counterpart of this file in JSON, so that if you are more familiar with JSON, you'll get an idea about what's going on here. Just understand for now that indentation is very important, and you are not allowed to use tabs in YAML. If you use tabs, the format is going to be broken, and Ansible will give you an error message. So you have to use spaces, and you have to use spaces so that similar items are grouped together with the same indentation level. So here I am interested in grouping those together. We're gonna see that when we convert this file to JSON format. Now, the next key is tasks, and this is going to be an array or a dictionary or a hash or list, if you wish to call it. And as we have just mentioned, lists or arrays in YAML list items start with a dash followed by a space. Each task should have a name. Let's give this task the name of ensure that Apache web server is installed. Then we're going to give it the module that it's going to work with. Notice here that I am not adding another list item. I am putting this in the same group as the name. I'm putting it in the same indentation level. Again, this might be more intuitive to you when I convert it to JSON. So I'm gonna use yum, and yum here is the module used by Ansible to use the yum command on the operating system. It contains several parameters that can be used to instruct yum to do whatever task needed on the server, like to install or deinstall packages. The value is name. The name is httpd, which is the name of the package that we need to install. We need to install a web server on the web server machine, and our web server is called Apache, and the name of the package in the YAML repository is called httpd, which is what we're doing. Then we can have it. Then we have to give it the state. The state is either present or absent. Present means I need this package to be installed on the system. As you can see here, the file is self-documented. As you have a look, I have a name that includes the description of the item, and I also have self-explanatory parameters. So the name is the name of the package, and the state is the state that I need this package to be at when the server is configured. So I want Ansible to ensure that HTTPD is installed on the system. If it is already installed, just pass on this step and do nothing. If it is not installed, go and install it using yum. So I can replace this with absent if I want to, and this will ensure that HTTPD package is not installed in the system. If it is installed, just go and uninstall it. If it is not already installed, just go ahead and to the next task. So I'm going to ensure that the HTTPD is present. And notice here how I used the name equals value in the value field of yum. I can use this the same way as this. Name HTTPD and state is present. It's just a simpler way, or it uses less space when I put it on the same line, but let's leave it like that to be more readable to you. And now I'm going to add another task, so I'll have to be at the same indentation level as name, the previous name, and again the next task is to ensure that the service is running and persistent. Persistent here means that I need the service to survive reboots. When the server gets rebooted, I need the server to start automatically. So I'm going to add service at the same indentation level, HTTPD, name equals HTTPD. Let's use the shorthand notation here, and state is started. I'm instructing Ansible to start this server, to start this service if it is not already started. If it is already started, then this phrase or this command is going to be just ignored. And enabled is yes. This means that this service needs to be persistent across reboots. When the system gets booted, this service needs to be started. Okay, let's save this file, and I'm gonna quickly give you the counterpart of this command in JSON. Okay, so this is the counterpart JSON file of this myplaybook.yml or .yaml. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the difference between both. So as you can see here, because I started this hosts file, or because I started this hosts with a dash, this means that this item is supposed to be a part of an array. So here, JSON is starting with an array, and this array does have only one item. That is because all the other items in this YAML file are at the same indentation level as hosts. So this means that this is only one item in the array that has no name. I have no name for this array, so it's just an empty array, as you can see here in the JSON file. Okay, can just get it here, and it's gonna be more visible, I wish. Okay, now you have become, yes, this is another key value at the same indentation level. It's another key value pair in the item tasks, and the tasks refer to an array. That is because I have the items that are under tasks added to have a dash and a space before it. So I have a name and then yum, and because yum did not start with a dash, this means that it is another key value pair inside the tasks. So this task contains two items. The first item contains a name and a yum parameter, and the yum in itself contains other parameters, name and state, as you can see here. And this is because we used the long way of adding the parameters or of adding the items to yum. If we use the short way, like name equals HTTPD, like here, it's just gonna be added like this inside the value, inside the quotes, like this. But because we used the long version, so it has been written like this, a name and a value, just like that. So this is an item, or this is a task, and this is another task, name and service. Okay, so both of them are present in the documentation that accompanies this lecture. You're gonna see for yourself the difference between YAML and JSON. Some people argue that this format is easier. Some others argue that this format is more readable and is easier and it's shorter, as you can see. It's up to you. However, you will have to, in all cases, be aware of the way YAML handles data, because it's gonna be used in Ansible, and Ansible is going to parse this playbook file to actually start working with the machine. And that brings us to the end of this lecture. At the start of next lecture, we are going to bootstrap the machine. we're gonna see how Ansible uses the playbook to configure this machine and to install the HTTPD server and to ensure that the web server will be up and running when the machine boots. So until then, see you next.